welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 46, Episode 18 of SNL with host Elon Musk and musical guest Miley Cyrus. I'm Catherine Coleman, and this week the gang is back together. John Murray just can't quit you, and Steve Finn is here to promote his new gig as a Ministry of Truth propagandist. If you have any questions about all that, you can connect with us at snlpodcast.com. All right, here we go. Whew, hello, everyone. We're back for the final three shows of the season. And guys, it's just so nice to see both of your faces today. And how are you doing?
It is great to see yours. And I wish you a happy Mother's Day. I know you're a wonderful, devoted mother to many an animal, and they applaud you for your services, as do we.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what your bearded dragon got you to show their appreciation for all the attention and care and Instagram fame that you've sprinkled on them this past year.
We all love Smog.
Yeah.
Hopefully I get a card. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go.
So back to SNL. We've started this run with like the most controversial host pick since Donald Trump hosted in 2016. And lots of hot takes online about this one. I'm excited to see what you thought. But before we get too far into that, we also got the announcement of our next two hosts. So the lineup for the final two shows this season. Next week, we got Keegan-Michael Key with Olivia Rodrigo, and then Anya Taylor-Joy with Lil Nas X. And I am super pumped about both of those episodes. Keegan-Michael Key, of course, is going to be amazing. I've got a few sketch friends coming on the cast to really break that down and analyze it. Olivia Rodrigo, of course, is well loved at the show. We had a whole sketch about her song a few weeks ago. And then Anya Taylor-Joy, I loved Queen's Gambit, and Lil Nas X is going to be really fun. John, you have any thoughts about those?
I'm just glad that you were able to cover all of them because I have so little to offer this segment of the show. And my notes to you are always, let's move quick through that and get into the meat. All I can say is Keegan-Michael Key, it makes a lot of sense that they would cue him up after a week like this, where you have an unproven host that's there more for the spectacle of it rather than, the sketchcraft of it. So now they're going to bring in a ringer that can just deliver a capable hour and a half of comedy. That makes sense. And other than that, I know none of these people from Adam, and I'm excited to get to know them over the next few weeks.
Should be good. Steve, are you familiar with anybody?
Just Lil Nas X from the notoriety that was covered on SNL a couple of weeks ago. But Keegan-Michael Key, he's been doing great lately, but it's going to be amazing to see him back doing sketch comedy, and not just like the Key and Peele stuff, but like 3-camera studio sketch, just like he did on Mad TV.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks. I'm glad that they're rounding out May with a 3-episode run. I'm glad that we're getting as close to a complete season here in the tail end of COVID as was possible this season. I hope that they go big with these.
All right. Well, we had a new segment going on here. John, do you want to tell us about our audience town hall?
Yeah. So I don't always open it up to audience feedback just because there isn't always that much to say. But the reason why I'm here and the reason why I'm assuming people are probably going to want to tune in this week is because we had a host that just can't help but generate conversation. So I thought it would be a great week to put out my feelers, get on Twitter, get on Reddit, and just put the word out that I want to take the temperature of the fandom and just kind of find out, now that we've seen it, in the lead up, it's all just speculation and controversy for the clicks. But now that we've seen what the show turned out to be, how are people feeling about it the next morning? Is there a lot of, regret? Or do we feel like maybe the whole controversy was overblown and it was just one of those, quirky wildcard SNL shows that doesn't have to be, that thing that maybe the Trump episode was a few years back. That's what I wanted to get to the bottom of. And I just feel like maybe letting our audience speak for themselves is the best way to do that. So we're going to do an audience town hall. This is
Right.
where our listeners can have their say. And we're going to start with our patrons because they get top billing, they get priority treatment. So Michael
True democracy
Riccardi,
right there.
yes, exactly. Yeah, if you're willing to grease the palms a little bit, you go to the top of the stack. So Michael Riccardi, one of our amazing patrons, chimed in and said this. Best I can say is it could have been worse. SNL can't be overtly hostile towards host, so the toughest it got was Che and Jost grilling Musk over Dogecoin. Dogecoin, I know how it's pronounced. I just think Dogecoin is funnier. Things got cringeworthy when they uncritically cited unrealized Musk projects like tunnel boring and the Mars colony, although I did like the Chad sketch. Sketches that centered Musk, like Wario, sputtered pointlessly. Using him in limited parts, the walk-on in the Mar of Easttown spoof, playing straight man to Davidson's Chad, worked. Finally, it was smart of Lorne to bring in cast members' moms. It was good TV, lightening the mood, and it was good for cast morale in the wake of bringing on Musk. So, Michael basically, ran the gamut there, the whole production. But if I'm hearing him correctly, he's basically saying this wasn't nearly as awkward as maybe it could have been. But, Musk can only do so much in the roles that they're handing him. So that's where we're going to kick things off. But what's interesting is I also put it out to Reddit, and on Reddit, people get to upvote. So what's kind of nice is the way that everything just ends up stacking up in the Reddit thread gives you an idea of whose thinking is kind of more in line with these comments. So I kept them in the order that they were upvoted. So as we go down the list, you can just get a sense of, okay, we're going to start with the majority opinion, then we're going to get a little bit more into the minority opinion. So starting off, Redditor Hilda Mill, who says, "Loved the entire episode. Didn't expect much from Musk. I found it really funny. Expecting him to fail hard, he exceeded my expectations, caught me off guard. Personally do not care for Elon for numerous reasons. Wanted to give him a chance, and I was impressed." So there's someone who wasn't already kind of like in the tank for Elon, who just wanted to let the show be what it was going to be, and they didn't come away too disappointed, which I think is interesting. After that, Galactic Grandma. I felt this was one of the worst episodes of SNL this season, completely independently of Elon. That's interesting. The writing just wasn't there. So this Redditor lays the shortcomings at the feet of SNL and not Elon. Now, our listener hot take award has to go to Redditor New to Society, who says, Elon was both much better than I expected and still terrible. I love that. So I got the best of both worlds. The show was enjoyable, and I got to feel all smug and superior. Yeah, I can totally see how you got there, New to Society, and I always enjoy a good turn of phrase. After that, Have a Rave at My Grave chimed in to say, I sincerely loved this episode and was super excited about it right when they announced Elon to host. I'm a huge space and technology nerd, and I also really like Elon. I think he did so well, and he put a lot of effort into everything he appeared in, and he looked like he had a lot of fun. It was refreshing to see him wear goofy outfits and laugh at himself, and the writers did an awesome job writing for his personality and his quirkiness. Easily my favorite episode of the season. So, high marks there. And in fact, they had no criticism whatsoever. They thought writing was on point. They thought Elon was on point. They thought everything was on point. So that's probably as far afield in the Elon camp as we're going to hear. So what I thought was actually interesting, and this is where maybe I can throw back to you guys to see how you feel all of that sussed out. There was a lot more measured positivity in this solicited feedback than I think maybe what we were getting through social media earlier in the week, where it did seem like everyone was really riled up and it was a very polarizing thing. Do you think our audience, or at least this, small sampling of our audience, is more in line with the public at large? Or do you think that there's a whole lot more drama out there that we're just not tapping into?
I feel like it's almost impossible to, like, gauge an episode of SNL by the public at large because every single person. Like, it's so subjective.
Yeah,
My
that's
my mom loved this episode.
sure.
And I was like, "What specifically about it?" And so, like, I mean, it's so every episode of SNL is like this, like, the ones that are my favorite, my mom's like, "That was terrible." You know,
Right.
so it's really hard
Wait
for
a
me
minute.
to say,
Comedy's
like
subjective?
right, it's hard for me to say, like, "Yeah, this is how most people feel," because I don't think there's a consensus on
Sure.
any episode of SNL, but I
Right.
do think that, generally speaking, it was not that it was a very high bar because most people did not expect Elon to be good at all, but
Right.
I think a fair consensus is I think a lot of people were surprised that he was somewhat competent. So again, like low bar, but
Yeah.
like I think he exceeded that expectation a little bit. I
Yeah.
think
Or at
I'm
least
hearing that a lot.
somewhat likable. Like it seems like
Mhm.
people who maybe came in looking to find a reason to hate him just didn't find as much as they thought they were going to find. Yeah, interesting. What do you think, Steve? Where do you think society at large landed on Elon?
Well, yeah, you're asking me if these avenues of social media are representative of the whole world. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. You
Right.
know, nobody in my personal life has gotten up in arms to the extent that I've seen online.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not saying that the guy got completely clean hands or anything. Uh, I don't feel passionate hatred towards the fella. There's a few things I've heard about that I said, well, I don't agree with that, but you know, we shouldn't you know, judge as harshly as some people would encourage you to do on the Twitter sphere.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like you said, if you were coming in as Switzerland and you know, you were looking for one way or another to go, I don't think this did much harm to his reputation.
Yeah.
For a guy for a guy or gal just introduced to Elon, this probably puts him in a great light, which
Mhm.
is maybe the point.
Yeah.
But I think it was a
Yeah. No,
success.
I think he came out the winner in all this, right? Like if it is a PR battle of is this going to improve his um credibility with the public at large or maybe cost him any fans? I think that, I think he picked up some Twitter followers from all this.
Sure.
That's my assumption anyways.
Yeah, it gave him a
Mhm.
chance to say, you know, I changed my mind about masks. All
Right.
the popularly bad opinions he's had, he had a chance to address through
Right.
comedy.
Absolutely. Any other brilliant thoughts, Catherine, or should we leave it there?
Now let's get into our thoughts on the show.
Let's do it.
All right. For the cold open, Miley serenades us, and every mom of a cast member gets to say live from New York. So, John, how'd you feel about it?
Oh, you start with me. Well, I mean, this is the um obvious sentimental, Mother's Day tribute. They were going to do something. Sometimes they do it in the monologue, which gets a little complicated because you have to have a host that can sort of be the master of ceremonies if you're going to do this big group thing with all the moms. So, interesting that they positioned it in the cold open. Also interesting that it gave them another opportunity to completely sidestep politics, which I will not complain about. So, these to me, the fun of them is in enjoying and embracing just how terrible all of the moms are at delivering a line. Like that's there. I think there's maybe nothing more mom than a little corny, a little, just I just want to participate. It's not about ability. It's just she just wants a moment, and that was coming through loud and clear. And so you can't help but just embrace the whole idea of let's give the moms a moment, and they'll all try and get through one of these corny jokes. And I think the pass fail on that was probably 50%, and that's all you need from one of
Yeah.
these. So this was fun. This is sentimental. You can't give a thumbs down to the tribute to moms.
Right. Yeah. These are fun. I would be perfectly fine if they did this every year for Mother's Day.
Mhm.
Because I just when when you watch the show twice a week, 2 times every week, sorry,
Right.
you kind of start to feel like you know these people, you know? And
Mhm.
so it's nice to get this further little glimpse in and have their moms come on, and and it's fun. I think they find pretty decent jokes to make. Some better than others, but I thought the bit with Kate's mom was really good. Keenan's mom, with her reaction shot, and
I wanted
then
her to do a Keenan reaction. I thought she was going to show us like, the mom's version of a Keenan reaction, like where he got it from. But no, she just set him up. But yeah, that still fun.
Yeah. And then with Heidi's mom, the first time I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. But then with the callback when she came back in, I loved that. That was great. So yeah, like some bits better than others, but yet not a ton to really break down or analyze with this. It's just here for good times and heartwarming effects. So it's a win for me.
Yep.
Steve, how'd you feel?
I loved it for simplicity and just the fact that it was a pretty smart move to do to set the tone, at least for the start of your show, something that, would be very digestible, because we're going to be very quickly getting into some Elon Musk stuff. We're not expecting him to behave. So we're making all the mothers cry. We're touching their hearts. We're making sure we're starting off with a bang and just getting all that gooey stuff addressed at the beginning. So whatever happens with Elon and the rest of the show, we still have this cold open.
All right, well, let's get to the man of the hour. And the monologue, everyone who wasn't watching their Dogecoin desperately hoping for it to skyrocket got their first look at Elon's comedic abilities. Steve, how'd you feel about the monologue?
Yeah, well, I was trying not to watch my Doge plummet. I was surprised because I feel this went as well as it could. Could a monologue go better? Yes, but you have to be capable of doing better than this. As a guy who just does like math all day and dreams up
Is that
crazy
what you think he does
stuff
all day?
I don't know what he does all day. So he smokes weed on podcasts. We all know what he does all day.
Yep.
Well, like as soon as he came out, I was like, okay, this guy is at least good at taking direction, because like almost mechanically walks out, stands on his exact spot on the stage and doesn't move it. Like he's like locked to that floor. So he seems like he can, at least with the way his mind works, he can just be told like blocking and where to stand. It gave me hope that like he could get through the episode. As for the stuff, there was some really great moments, bringing his mother out. That was funny to me because earlier that day I gave my mother about 250 Dogecoin. So it wasn't her Mother's Day present. It wasn't that bad. I got her a nice aroma diffuser today. But we had a laugh at that.
After the monologue, I said, I'm pleasantly surprised so far. Like I said before, it wasn't a high bar. I expected him to be very, very bad, and he was okay.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, it exceeded my expectation, and I thought he did a pretty solid job. He showed me that he came out, he was game to laugh at himself, which I wasn't sure if he was going to be. And they were comfortable writing this monologue for him that did poke those jokes and had a little fun with his persona. Specifically the part about Twitter was really good. And yeah, so he's got some interesting mannerisms. His delivery's a little stilted, but overall, I think he got through it pretty well. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised, and I started to think, all right, we got that. Let's see how you can act now. And we'll get into that. But yeah, I think this monologue was far better than anything I expected. John,
yeah, same.
What are your thoughts?
It was better than I expected, and I think it was smarter than I was anticipating as well. I think whether it was totally intentional or not, they were able to clear out so much potential baggage that could have dragged the show down or just made things awkward or uncomfortable for people later in the show, in how they set all this up and the topics that they set him off on. Say what you will about talking about maybe your syndromes or conditions, and maybe using that for sympathy. I don't think that he specifically was, but that's something that not a lot of people necessarily know about Elon Musk. They just know him as the figurehead of all these companies, and maybe a polarizing arch villain of some sort. But
Yeah, I had no idea.
but when you contextualize that and just remind people that he's a person too, and we all have things like that um should give people pause and make them question whether they're judging too harshly or whatever. And um that I think was a surprising maneuver that I think was really disarming, because it's kind of weird to say, but you're not allowed to hate a person that has a condition like that, in a way. Like, there I'm treading lightly here, but honestly, like, it's so much easier to be compassionate and give someone the benefit of the doubt when you understand that they have a struggle of some sort.
Mhm.
And I don't think anyone that was tuning in to hate watch Elon was expecting to have their virtue challenged in that regard. Like, how do I keep reminding myself that I'm a good person if, knowing this new fact about Elon, I'm still going to sit here and hate on him?
Now, to be fair to the people who came into it anti-Elon,
Mhm.
the revelation, if it was that, of his diagnosis, it allows you to you cut him a little slack on any sort of social awkwardness he has, but I mean, I think those people also have some other very legitimate complaints about him that
Sure.
don't relate to that, and they can still feel bad about him. Like, that doesn't excuse some
Sure.
of those things, you know?
Sure. But when you're watching his performance later in the show,
Right.
you are certainly looking at it with different
Yes,
eyes
yes.
than if,
Mhm.
if it's just him, this mastermind villain who's just so eccentric, that when you're eccentric and there's nothing qualifying why you're eccentric, it seems like superiority. Like, you're aloof because you don't want to be
Mhm.
at the same level as the people you consider below you. Like, there's just that idea that you're doing it to separate yourself and elevate yourself, and there's something arrogant about the eccentricity or the aloofness. With this context, all that gets washed away
Mhm.
for anyone that isn't just so staunchly anti-Elon that they're gonna, they've made up their mind 100%. So it was just interesting. I just was not expecting that curve, because I don't, from what I saw on Twitter, like, as soon as they announced this, I thought, okay, well, I need to bone up on this guy. I need to, you know, I got to have the lay of the land. I got to know what I'm talking about when it comes to Elon Musk. Nowhere in anything that I came across from people's hot takes on on the booking did anyone mention Asperger's. So this I think must have been impactful for a lot of the audience.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's get into our first sketch. Bestie is in the Gen Z hospital and her condition is sus. No cap.
Ooh.
I hope I nailed that.
I love that you could at least write that introduction for that sketch, because I wouldn't have even been able to get that far with it.
I did have to Urban Dictionary what no cap meant.
Okay.
The rest of it I understood. So clearly none of us are Gen Z. I believe I'm probably the closest to it, but not quite there. So yeah, let's hear your takes on if you knew what the heck they were saying. John, how about you go first?
I got nothing great to offer you. I'm sorry, Catherine. First off, let's define Gen Z, because I don't even necessarily know I've got my time frame straight on what age group we're talking about.
I believe the oldest Gen Zers are probably like 25 now.
Okay, so Pete Davidson, we call him Gen Z. I mean, he's at the top
Yeah,
of
I
Gen
think he's
Z.
like on the cusp of Gen Z and millennial.
Okay.
I'm
I
technically a
think.
millennial at 36, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess my hot take is the kids aren't all right. Like, just
Of
I
course,
I
we're not surprised by that take, so I don't know if we can call it hot.
yeah. Um like, fantastic that they could, zero in on some of the tropes of this subculture. But it's all lost on me because I'm not hanging out with these sort of folks having these sort of conversations. So I appreciate the picture that they painted, but nothing was connecting because it felt like they were talking a different language. And I could not sound older and lamer right now, but that's honestly how I felt. I could not keep up with this. So yeah, I got nothing else I can offer you on this one, Catherine.
Well, here's the thing though, is that I would argue this sketch is actually more written for you than for me or Gen Z.
To point my finger at and say, see, that's how I see these weird little kids.
Yeah, look at these stupid little kids saying their stupid little words.
Yeah. Maybe so, but if that was the case, it was so authentic that I was just out of my depth regardless. Even the parody version I could not penetrate.
All right, fair enough. I enjoyed this. It was every generation has their unique little things about them, right? And a lot of the funny things about Gen Z is these crazy things they say that I have to look up more often than not and figure out what they mean. And I know my parents have largely had to do that for me. It happens every time, but I thought this was fun to just really take every single trope you could think of and put it in one person and then in another person. So like this is truly just a caricature of Gen Z and like the most obnoxious Gen Zer you can imagine. And I thought they did a pretty good job with it from my perspective of not understanding the jokes. I'm sure Gen Zers are like, yeah, they got that wrong, but I don't know. So yeah, and I think taking that caricature and putting it in a hospital with their mom / best friend / whatever dying, pretty good stakes for this. There's a good juxtaposition there for they're saying these funny words that we don't quite understand, and like this is a serious situation.
Right.
So I enjoyed that. I thought it maybe could have heightened a little bit more, but overall, I thought it was fun. It was a good opening sketch. It had Elon featured in it, but not, too much. And he was pretty competent in what he was doing with that sort of supporting role. So I liked it for what it was. Steve, did it win for you?
Yeah. And just to add to what you were talking about, Elon, coming in and out and being kind of limited. I think this is something they approached because, Elon is probably a busy guy, even when he is spending a week at SNL. I'm sure he can't put absolutely everything on hold. So yeah, just the way everything was blocked with him coming out, coming back in, looked like it was really tailored to make rehearsals easy for whenever he couldn't actually be in there. Because like whenever he leaves, they fill out the stage and kind of like,
right.
They move to like stand where he was standing. So it was definitely tailored for a host that might have to take a phone call once in a while,
The one thing that I did enjoy about this, if I'm going to offer it any marks, they went out on a selfie, which seems so appropriate. Like you were saying, Catherine, it's a sober situation. This should be when they pull back all of the silliness, and they should be tackling it in the most adult way that they could. But not only are they incapable of doing that just in their speech, they also still have to embrace all of the what is it? Just the influencer mentality that, if we are outside of the house, we have to be looking for opportunities to come up with content for my Instagram or whatever it is. Like the selfie is an obligatory thing of any group situation, no matter how somber it's supposed to be. So it is funny that they went out on that and everyone was game, even the doctor, and they all have their trademark poses that they have locked and loaded ready for any selfie situation because they probably do 100 of these a day. That I thought was pretty on point. So if I'm going to do anything to point and mock the kids, I think they really captured something with that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know why you have to call me out like that here at the end, but all right. Our first pre-tape is a look at how we are all somehow having the exact same post-quarantine conversations. This one rang alarmingly true for me. So, Steve, how'd you feel about it?
Oh, yeah. I think it rang true for the majority of all living beings that watch this. And I like the approach that they took because we've seen very similar ideas, made manifest on the show. And what I liked about this one is that they kind of went inside their heads and showed the inner dialogue. It's not just about the awkwardness of the exchange itself, but like the inner panic and the uncertainty that people have trying to like remember how to do all this. So it was great for that.
John, it looks like you have a thought.
Nothing brilliant, but I also connected with it just in that I've been noticing over the last couple months that I have forgotten how to engage adults in conversation. Like I realized that I've started almost talking to like everyone, regardless of age, kind of how I talk to my kids. And it's just weird. And I mean, it's a product of, okay, well, these are the only people I'm interacting with on a daily basis. So it does it in subtle ways that you don't realize until things just start to feel really awkward and weird. That there has been something about this pandemic that changes just the muscle memory that we have for social interaction, where certain things wouldn't phase us. Like you just know how to roll into a conversation and, be clever and charming and do small talk and all of that just feels so natural because it's something you do every day, whether you realize it or not. So just through osmosis, you have that competency. And I can feel that I've lost that. And I can feel how anxious sometimes I am when I realize I have to think about the words. I can't just casually speak the way that I could in some situations. And there's some truth to that. So it's great that everyone's sort of feeling that. It's nice to know that I'm not alone in feeling like that I've regressed as a human being this last year. But they were tapping into something true. I don't think that they went as far with it as they could have. I think that this was a fun observation of a sketch, but I feel like they very quickly ran out of fun scenarios to really drive it home or take it into really fun places. So as an observation and as something that spoke to me, I thought that was great. But as a fully realized and just like end to end unqualified win, I feel like this didn't quite get as far as I would have liked the topic to go.
Yeah, I really really liked this one. I thought it was pretty fun start to finish. Some really good performances. I thought this was particularly suited well for Elon to
Mhm.
he had a few lines that, to act, but most of them were voiceovered, which gives you a little bit more flexibility, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Take two, Elon.
so I don't know what this says about me, but coming
There's
out
going to
of
be a lot
quarantine,
of that this episode. There's going to be a lot of soul searching throughout the show.
coming out of quarantine, I feel
Surprisingly.
no different about starting conversations, but I think it's maybe because I'm just always socially anxious. So I'm like, yeah, this is exactly how I was
Mhm.
before too.
Life is as oppressive as it's ever been. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah. John talked about regressing. I feel like just the world around me has come finally to my level
There you go.
of ability to socialize. So I'm loving this.
Exactly. The thing that rang very true for me is the topics of conversation, because every conversation I've had with anyone I've seen in the past 3 months was, "So how was quarantine?" "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Yeah, I have a few projects. We've done some things virtually. I'm vaccinated now. Can we take our masks?" Like, they're all the exact same things. And I just think that's so funny to explore. And the part that really got me was between Elon and Heidi, and he said, "So what shot did you get?" And she was like, "Great question that leads to nowhere." And then because it's very true. And then she said the second shot knocked her out, and he said, "That's a one of a kind experience you should share."
Oh crap! I said that out loud.
Right.
Yep. Because I mean, that's the thing. I'm like, you very genuinely feel like obligated to say, like, "Yeah, I got this one. I had a fever," and like no one really cares, but everyone says it. Everyone reports their
Mhm.
reaction to the shot. Like this is the normal thing to talk about. So
Mhm.
I thought this was super relatable and really fun and well realized.
Indeed.
And that's that. Let's keep going. Up next, we have The Uli Show. And I believe this is the second time we've seen this character, right? We had an appearance on the At Home episode, if I remember
Right.
correctly.
She was the unwelcomed house guest.
Yes. But that
Yeah.
is this. that was Uli, right? It wasn't just a different Swedish character.
No,
Yeah.
it was Uli because the
Okay,
stickers
yeah.
on the arm and yeah.
Okay,
Let's not
I
be
thought so,
prejudiced.
but wanted to confirm. All right, so the Uli show. She's got a talk show now. John, what one about it?
At least it was her good tit. Like I like I like the character. I really, really like the character. I think what Chloe does with it is a lot of fun. But if I'm going to be perfectly honest, we had some feedback from another supporter and Twitter engager extraordinaire, Manette Morady, and I think that she kind of just sums up my feeling on it. The Uli sketch is a case where a character can't successfully transfer from one format to another. So whereas I think Uli works really well as the agent of chaos, that brings consternation on whoever she's around. I think that works really well. But in this world where she's crafted a whole world to her liking, and you're bringing people in and not even really doubling down on the awkwardness for them in her world, I don't think that's as much fun as the chaos that she can bring outside of her bubble. So yeah, as a vehicle, I don't think this is right for Uli, but I like the character. So I don't know. I wish that they'd found something more clever to try and transition her into, because I think the show recognizes that these Chloe creations, they have legs. There's fun stuff they can do. This isn't the right direction for this character.
Yeah. I feel exactly the same way. It's a super, super fun character that I think has more mileage left in her. This is the wrong format. I think if we got Uli's YouTube show, that has more potential. I think if we got a glimpse into Uli's TikTok channel, that has a lot of potential.
Sure. Yeah.
Weekend update.
Uli on Update could be fun.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Uli on an old school traditional talk show,
Right.
doesn't quite add up.
Right.
And then you have two additional very weird choices of who her guests would be.
Right.
And then not really going anywhere with those, like you said. So
that seems to be the height of the joke right there. Hey, we got a bunch of guests that would not have a good time on the type of show we're doing.
Right. So yeah, a few weird choices here, and I think just the wrong format. And I've got plenty of pitches for a new format. If you want to send me an email, I'd be happy to discuss them. But yeah, love the character, and I think there's still fun to be had, and I think we'll see her again in some other things, and I'm excited about that.
Hopefully, yeah.
Steve, what'd you think?
Can't help but agree with the notion that the character is great, but the context maybe needs to change for it to be something worth seeing. Because I was seeing basically a Japanese talk show with the accents changed, going for that same kind of wackiness you're used to from all that. And that's something they've done before. I think Taryn and was it Vanessa who used to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And Sudeikis was their teacher mentor.
Yeah. And it was always that mismatched energy between the guest and the host.
Right.
I like the culture of Iceland, and I do think it's silly. I really enjoyed that Eurovision movie. It was an above average Will Ferrell film.
No, it was very enjoyable and under the radar. I liked that movie too.
So when they were talking about the elves and stuff, I was having a chuckle. It's a very charming, cute little culture. So it makes sense to want to explore that. But I just felt like we've seen this done in so many skins that it loses some punch.
All right. Well, overall, I think we all said the same thing. We like this character. Wrong setting. Happy to see her again, though.
Yes. Sure.
So let's keep going. From the makers of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia comes Murder, an authentically Pennsylvanian crime show. And as all three fans of 30 Rock, this is obviously a spiritual successor to the Murder.
Obviously. Oh, yes. Who knew
the urban fervor?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had fun with this. Steve, was it a win for you?
For sure. And it was great to see. It felt like, I don't want to say classic SNL, because I don't mean older SNL. I just mean SNL of today. It was of the same caliber, which we might have been afraid of that being compromised a little bit with Elon there and having to like maybe go out of your way to just make it work with a non-performer. You might see just like a simpler show. This one was, up there with some of the best shorts of the season, and it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, they certainly mined this concept. They found lots of fun things to goof on. Extra points if people notice Tina Fey in the web of leads on the wall,
And Questlove and Rocky.
Yes.
I saw Questlove.
Yeah. Tina Fey was just side frame for just a second before they panned off her. But yeah, they well, they're building on, I think, maybe a comedy genre that she established, being from Upper Darby. She's always goofed on that and wove it into so much of 30 Rock. Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I don't know if it's my turn to talk, but I'm going to talk. I think this I think this was really smart and fun and well produced. The one thing that was a little discouraging, though, is that at this point, I'm starting to see the trend where Elon Musk is the afterthought in the sketch. And I never like seeing that. And I understand that, especially with a first time host, they have to be safe and they can't just hang a whole sketch on them. But this was also a pre-tape. And I know that they got to move fast with their pre-tapes, but I feel like these are the areas where Elon really could have been utilized more so that it felt like a more well-rounded show because they were going to be so cautious with the live fare. So just having him kind of come in for the button there at the end, I just don't, it just said to me that I think maybe this is something they developed on a previous week and he was kind of inconsequential to the whole thing, which is fine because it was a good thing that was worth producing. I was hoping that maybe they were going to find more things that were going to utilize him better. And I'm starting to get a sense that maybe they just didn't know how to handle him.
Well, that's a thing that I think we've seen a lot of this season, and I don't know if it has something to do with their COVID restrictions and how they're
I'm sure it
scheduling the
does.
pre-tapes now. Because the last episode had the flute thing, and Carey Mulligan was just there for the button.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think part of it's probably some of it's been repurposed, but I think I'm getting the feeling it's more of a scheduling thing than anything. Just makes it easier. Well, I was ready to feel very brilliant by pointing out the corkboard thing, but you stole that
Sorry.
from me.
Hey, that's what I do.
So I guess I'll just talk about my personal vendetta against Pennsylvania.
Okay,
No,
it's a whole thing. There's a whole thing happening here.
There's a whole story here, but we won't get into it. But I will say, for personal reasons, I do love to dunk on Pennsylvania a little bit, and I find it very fun. And this nailed all the things. Just the the way those words are pronounced and the way that things end up rhyming. Like, I didn't murder your dirter and put her in the warder. That's really fun. You got your Wawa jokes, you've got your like weird mascot jokes. It had everything, and I thought it was really fun. Probably not my favorite of the genre parodies. But like you said, it was reminiscent of something Tina Fey would have written, so instant win there. And I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Allison Gates not on the writing credits for this. It felt like something she would be a part of, especially considering the lesbian period drama we had. But this one was Sudie Green and Fran Gillespie wrote this one. And yeah, enjoyable. It was a win for me. I was happy to see it. All right, let's talk about Miley Cyrus. She's performing Without You with the Kid Laroi, as well as Plastic Hearts. John, I'm just going to go on a limb, and I feel like you're going to have a strong opinion, so let us know.
I try so hard to like Miley Cyrus, and I'll give her credit. Plastic Hearts, that's a banger. That's a fun song.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about her vocal quality that I just can't wholeheartedly embrace. I feel like she's got all the power and all the grit in the world, but I feel like she uses that, or her producers use that as a way of avoiding a lot of range in how she sings. Like I feel like she's got a whole lot of really, really great quality to her voice, but not a whole lot of great dynamic to her voice. And well, not dynamic. That's the wrong word, because dynamic is more like how she can belt. But she just doesn't seem to have the upper register that I look for to say, oh well, that person is a stunning singer. And that's just not her shtick, but it's just hard for me because I'm always listening for that moment, like, oh, okay, win me over, show me that you can get up there with the best of them, and I just never get that from her. And I think that they just craft her songs in such a way that she just doesn't have to go into maybe uncomfortable territory that way. But what she does do, she does really, really well. I just wish that it ranged higher and lower than it does.
That's fair. Um, for me, I like Miley a lot. I think she writes real catchy, good songs. I think she can sing really well, but she has a very specific voice, right?
Right.
Um, and it's a little bit just how her natural voice sounds, a little bit of an accent going on. And sometimes it sort of takes me out of the song a little bit because I'm like,
Okay.
it's Miley. I don't know really how to describe it, but it's like that very specific thing. I sometimes it works really well, and sometimes I find it distracting.
Okay.
Um, cool, good for me. But as far as these songs go, I thought the first song was really, really great. It wasn't overproduced, fun little kind of acoustic track. Uh, good lyrics. I'm not familiar with the Kid Leroy. I had not heard of him before this week, but
Mhm.
seems like a good performer. I enjoyed that. And like you said, John, that second song, man, that's an earworm. It's
Mhm.
stuck in my head, like, as we're talking, like, it's playing in my head on a loop since last night. Good
Mhm.
stuff. I like Miley Cyrus. I think she makes good music, so, I was excited for
Okay.
it.
One
Steve?
qualified win, one unqualified win.
There we
Steve,
go.
break the tie.
I was enjoying it. It was it qualified as a successful musical guest performance. I was finding it catchy, and I just think Miley's got a great tone to her voice.
Mhm.
We could talk about that range. It may be a stylistic choice. Look at the Steven Tylers and the Axl Roses and the Rick Astleys of music. Sometimes you just decide on a voice uh, that is that is you basically, uh, kind of like a musical version of Gilbert Gottfried in a way. But if you turn on the
I don't know
radio,
if that's
I
a
hate how
flattering
good that
comparison, but
comparison is.
yeah,
That's the it's terrible and perfect at the same time. Steve,
yeah.
you never disappoint.
Yeah.
I know, right?
You
Uh,
said what I was trying to say in such a fun, unexpected way.
yeah, but like Rick Astley never going to give you up. That guy's
Mhm.
like a baritone, and the people who produce him are like, oh, you're going to sing like 2 octaves beyond your comfortable range. They
Right.
got to go on tour like my throat hurts. You never know. She's clearly got the chops, and if she sticks to like the Hootie and the Blowfish uh, range of singing, it's just maybe a way to make the music digestible because that's what we want in pop. We want predictability. We want to be able to at least sing along to it. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, I hear you, Steve. You're
Mhm.
you're saying you don't always have to go for broke to perform a good song.
Yeah.
And, just because we didn't see everything she could possibly do doesn't mean that what we were seeing wasn't worth seeing.
All right. Well, let's get into Weekend Update. For the lead in, Jost and Shay discuss all of these rich white men trying to escape to space. I thought this was a pretty strong update. John, what one about it?
Uh, well, I think both Jost and Shay had their moments. There was also nursing homaloma. What was it? It was
Nursing Homa.
nursing homa. So not every joke was a winner. I'm not going to give nursing homa high marks. Uh, but as always, Che comes out with a couple things that people need to stop and think for a second whether they're willing to clap or not. And I always like that. I like when people's comfort zone is challenged a little bit by Che. So some fun stuff here. I thought overall I would grade it like a solid B. Like nothing wrong with it, but I didn't think that we saw much outstanding from them. and then we get into our feature. So I don't think that what Joseph Che was doing was the best that we see in Weekend Update this week.
Yeah, I think they did a great job. They came out, they were ready to throw some punches towards, Elon and his uh billionaire white cohorts, and I liked that that they were willing to go there with him in the room. We had some political commentary that was I really felt like jokes first, funny stuff, and then we had a good amount of just weird stories and jokes about weird stories, which I really, really love. So we had
Mhm.
the Cosby ride joke about Disneyland,
Sure.
and then the McDonald's. The woman found fecal matter, and she did order a number two. Just like simple, stupid stuff, and I really like it, and I love it when there's room in Weekend Update to get out of the more serious political stuff, even if you're writing great jokes about it, and move into those fun, silly, goofy stories and get a little dumber with it, I guess.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, it was a win for me. I thought this was a pretty strong showing. Steve, how'd you feel?
I really enjoyed it, and there was something to enjoy from both Eggers. Colin was great. He he had that 3 under par joke that really nailed. And yeah, got to poke a little bit of fun at the host, which we often expect. Uh I think this is nice because I don't even suspect that they had to be sneaky about it. I think they might have just went up to Elon and said, "Hey, we're gonna say you're looking for an alibi from hosting SNL because you're responsible for all these deaths." He was probably like, "That's great.
Yeah.
Do it in the opening so everybody sees it." Um, so yeah, that was fun, and gotta hand it to Che. He took one of the biggest jabs ever at Jost this time around with that Harvey Weinstein
Mhm.
joke. That was that was like, "Hey, Jost's mother is watching. I'm pulling off the gloves."
Alright, so yeah, pretty high marks for the opening salvo there. Let's get into our first feature. This mom is a grizzled veteran of taking her kids to Disneyland. And I will say that I actually saw this feature at the Don Cheadle dress rehearsal, what, a year ago? More than a year ago, because that was
Her
Ah.
first season. It was her first
Mhm.
season on the show. Yeah.
And I believe that was the second time she tried to get it on. Um, so she's tried it a few times, and I was actually thinking earlier this week about this feature because I loved it so much when I saw it, and I was really sad that it got cut. And then, through Reddit, I've seen that it's tried to come back a few more times, and I was like, "Man, I guess she probably gave up on that feature, and that really sucks that we'll never get to see it." Um, and then surprise of the year, she comes out with it, and I was so, so excited for everyone to get to see this because I really, really loved it. There are so many great jokes in there, especially
I have given you my neck, my back, and as for my pussy and my crack, oh, you ripped those away from me a long time ago.
that's fantastic. I think Ego is just performs this so well. She plays that on edge character flawlessly. And so yeah, I was really excited that this thing that I've experienced before I can now share with the world. Um, so what did you guys think, John? How'd you feel?
I think this is the best thing she's ever brought to the desk.
Mhm.
I think that this was a high watermark for Ego. And I think this is the time where we can start to have the conversations about where we think Ego is gonna rank as far as the black female players that have come through the show over the years, because infamously they seem to fare very badly because it's hard to get things written for that particular voice. And a lot of people over the years have struggled and have been vocal about how hard it is to thrive at the show. um and
Well, I think
these are
that's an
the
important. I mean, it's important to consider it in that lens, but like I also like don't want to box her in
Mm.
no,
to
no,
that.
but I'm just the only reason why I bring it up now is that moments like these they start to get my gears turning, and I'm saying, wait a minute, like this is among some of the best stuff that we've gotten from a Black female player, like just in her voice, something that she's crafted that even she brought to the show. And that now it, even though, it took her a few runs at it, it's cutting through and it's really playing and it's really working and the audience is loving it. And it's one of those things that makes me go, maybe there's baby steps, but it does feel like the show just has more opportunity now. And Ego is such a strong performer that she can help carve that out for the next batch of players that come up behind her. And I feel like it says something good about the trajectory of the show. But beyond that meta, this was fantastic. And she's been performing this for so long that she knows it inside and out. So every little exasperated look and just sigh and angst, all of it, she just has it dialed in so sharp.
Yeah, I think Ego's been a standout of the whole season.
Sure,
the whole cast.
Absolutely.
Big things. But like you were saying, what's interesting from seeing it before, a lot of the jokes were the same, restructured slightly here and there. But the piece largely hasn't changed. But I could see where her performance of it had improved and changed and matured a little bit. So I mean, it might be for the best in a way that she had a bunch of runs at it, and then this is the best version of it. I guess we have to let Steve talk. So,
sorry, Steve, we may have stolen all the juicy bits. What do you got?
This is actually a cardboard cutout. I went to the bathroom. Ego is just such a master of modern comedy. Like it's such a hard thing to do to convey stress or any kind of feelings of being upset. It's hard to be both believable and still funny, because like you have I Love Lucy, where Lucy, whenever she cries, it's none of us are really like buying the fact that she's actually upset. We're kind of laughing at it. Ego, on the other hand, this feels like true pain and true suffering. Like the acting is of a caliber that you would accept in a drama, right? But it's just the delivery of the dialogue and the just the specifics of what she goes through is where the comedy comes through.
So pretty unqualified win on that one.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Lloyd Ostertag, the Doge Daddy, talks cryptocurrency. But like, what is it?
What is it?
So Steve, I know you have some Dogecoin. So number one, what is it? And number two, did you feel spoken to by this feature?
Oh, for sure. To the moon. That's where we all hope to go with the Dogecoin. It's great though, right? Because you can be explained exactly what cryptocurrency is and still just not know not know anything else more, right? That's the weird thing about crypto, is that you have to understand a bunch of other stuff first before you can move on to understanding what crypto is all about. It's like if you sucked at math and then you get into like university math, but you don't have the basis for it. So it's like really hard. That's what like trying to understand crypto as a layman is like. So I like the fact that, Elon would give all very reasonable, good answers for the same question over and over again, but yet still they feel the need to ask it because it just takes like learning a whole new language.
Because the answers just sound like nonsense.
Right. Like blockchains and
right.
And mining and all this stuff. And
it makes no sense to me. Like, so and don't try to explain it, because 100 people have tried to explain it to me. And I'm like, what does that mean? You're mining? Like your computer is like doing, like, what is it mine? It makes no sense. It is just nonsense to me.
Yeah. Even like, that part I'm like iffy on. It's like the computers are competing to solve problems, but what are the problems that they're solving? What does that purpose does that serve?
What does this mean? I'm fine to jump on board with, okay, it has value, because if you assign something value, it has value. That's how diamonds work. But like, I'll jump on board with that. That's cool. Invest in it. I'm all about decentralizing things and like, let's find new ways and reinvent things. Fun, cool. But I love that they went into it and they had this whole bit and they committed to the bit of what is it.
Yeah.
They could have tried to take it a step further and like kind of do more with it, but I think it would have been worse. Like just sticking with asking him that exact same question over and over again really committed to this bit and made it really fun.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was thrilled to see Elon willing to laugh and say, yeah, it's a hustle.
Yeah.
John, what'd you think?
I like goofs that are grounded in some truth. And I know that I've had that question posed to me. And it is fun to see how it plays out. And that's exactly how it plays out. You can give 3 or 4 different attempts at running at a competent answer to that question, and the eyes will still be glazed over. And you're still gonna have to backtrack and figure out how to dumb it down even further to try and make a connection here. So yeah, the people that are in that kind of position that are attempting to infuse some sort of like uh, human, real world, tangible notion of what Bitcoin is or any crypto. That's an exercise in futility, and it is fun to see them put a little comedic spin on it. The reason why they can basically do that gag 4 or 5 times over is because the underlying truth doesn't get old. It doesn't get old when he takes a run at it. It doesn't register with Che. He takes another run at it. Doesn't register with Che. Normally, you would expect we got to change things up and surprise the audience. But the more you do it, the funnier it becomes because the truth that crypto's weird and inscrutable, and you need to be the Elon Musks of the world to be able to wrap your head around it. I like that. And I like that Jost, as you guys already mentioned, as much as he may be further down the road in his financial planning, he's just as lost as Che. It doesn't matter your walk of life; it's inscrutable. So yeah, fun. And the first time that we get Elon Musk kind of doing something where he has to carry it in the performance a little bit, right? He has to come out there a little superior and a little confident and a little bit like ready to sell Dogecoin and feel like he's capable of doing it, which again makes it funnier the more that he does it again with gusto, and he thinks that he's saying all the right things and it makes perfect sense to him. There was a little bit of performance there, still in Elon Musk territory as far as his performance abilities, but I felt it was a good showing for him, and the first time he was really utilized so far in the show to good effect. So good.
Very good. I think, yeah, it sounds like we were all pleased with this one. So
yeah,
let's keep going. Baby Yoda announces his upcoming MMA match against Baby Groot in a tiny ass ring. John, last time Baby Yoda was on, you said, and I quote, "Baby Yoda needs to die."
Yes.
So run away with that.
Oh, okay. I have to qualify it because yes, Baby Yoda needs to die, and swole Baby Yoda needs to die a painful death. The reason why I hate this sketch isn't because it doesn't have merit, and it isn't because they're not doing everything right as far as great prosthetics and costuming and props and this is Kyle Mooney giving his most to a performance. So there is a lot here. I just hate the whole thing of just looking at this ungodly concoction of a Baby Yoda that they've come up with. It's just the repulsive feeling that I get about looking at it that is so off-putting to me. But I can't fault what they're doing because it is a funny idea that he is the modern incarnation of the Brat Pack kind of a thing, like the young bucks that own Hollywood or whatever, and he's a baller, and he's got his posse, and he's starting beefs, and he's fronting, and now he's swole, and that's great. If you're gonna bring it back, you gotta find something fresh for him to be on about. And yeah, he's he's even more arrogant than he was last time, because now he's done what all those, young guys do at a certain point in their career. They get a trainer and they come out, a few months later feeling, like the king of the world. So it's smart and it's good and it's performed well and it's got technical merit and it's got everything that I should love. And I just can't stand looking at that green thing. So I don't know what to say. I appreciate it, but I can't stand it. That's all I got.
Fair. That's fair.
All I got.
Baby Yoda, this is the third appearance, yes?
Fourth, I think. Third or fourth.
Overall, Baby Yoda's been hit and miss for me. I think the first one, I'm sort of middle of the road on. The second one I really liked. And then this one wasn't doing it for me. I don't know that it's any fault of the character so much as I think update was running a little long and I was maybe just ready to get into some more sketches. That I think that's part of it. I didn't feel like, Kyle was certainly bringing a lot to it, but I wasn't getting the same energy as I was maybe the last time.
I thought he was way over the top. Like,
really?
I thought he was going even bigger with it this time, especially because they gave him the swole arms that he could bounce around.
Right. I don't. Yeah,
I think it was a high watermark personally. Like,
okay,
energy wise and just the quality of the writing wise and the joke of the swole arms. I thought this is the best we've seen Baby Yoda.
Look how much John is loving Baby Yoda. He's loving it.
No, I love to hate
hates it. To be clear, he hates it. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree because I felt like the way he was delivering the lines and the energy he was bringing wasn't as much as last time. Okay. He sort of got to it at the end when he did the big hell yeah, but I feel like there was more of that before. But I don't know. I think it could just be the ups and downs of the show. For this one, just took this one away with me, and if it had been somewhere else, I might have liked it just fine. Because I don't necessarily have any strong critique about it. So that's that. Steve, do you want him to live or die?
Let him live.
Part of the humor for me.
Part of the humor for me is just how far away they were from capturing the cuteness of Baby Yoda. Like, it's like they tried out a test and then they were like, "This is so ugly." It's funny because we all expect to see cute little beady-eyed Grogu for the real fans. Yeah, so to see this monstrosity is like part of the joke to me because it's so not Baby Yoda. But the character is fun. It's kind of like our generation's Gumby. We have a beloved character that's rough around the edges in their real behind the scenes life. Obviously, that's played to a different style, but I think that's kind of what they're going for is something like that. And it's a great, it's a great commentary and reminder, like, just, never meet your heroes or just don't absolutely fall in love with the persona of someone. But yeah, that's probably digging too deep. I just thought it was a fun Baby Yoda outing.
Well, we've run the gamut of opinions on Baby Yoda, so let's move on. But as we move on, I want a quick note that it was interesting because I didn't clock this while I was watching it, but Louis Zakarian, the head of the makeup department, posted on Instagram, something along the lines of, "It's always fun to do Kyle and Baby Yoda makeup, but not so much when you have 3 minutes to get him out of it to play Luigi."
Yeah, you got to respect that.
That's a quick change, and there wasn't. I didn't notice any sort of residual anything going on. Whereas a few episodes we had Bowen go from iceberg to the next sketch, and he still had little bits of blue on his face. So yeah, very impressive change. And let's talk about it. A Mario Universe murder trial tries to prove that Wario has been unfairly painted as evil. I think this was our first sketch of the night that was a little more out there, a little bit crazier of a sketch in my opinion here. So, Steve, what do you think about it?
Yeah, this was such a swell time. You gotta love it, you know. You also got to expect it a little bit. Maybe not necessarily this exact sketch, but when you got a host like Elon, who you're not sure what he can pull off, well, there's one thing you can do is dress him up in a silly costume, because all you got to do is exist while those clothes hang off of you, and you have a funny visual of, oh look, Elon Musk is dressed as Wario. You at least get a laugh for him on his behalf from doing that, right? Even if he just completely messes up everything else. So this is what we get, apparently, a Mario sketch. I think was made brilliant by the use of sound design, taking those recognizable sound effects from the video game and just putting them into amazing context. I don't have to remind you what they use that growing sound for. I'm sure those 12 or 13 pixels are seared into your brain. But yeah, stuff like that. All the stuff we come to recognize about Mario, and just turning it on its head and explaining it away in with more adult themes. It was pretty brilliant.
I loved this. I thought it was our first, zanier sketch. I thought everything before this was pretty, I guess except maybe Uli, but it felt very front half of the show. Everything else does, and this feels back half of the show to me. Um and I really liked it. I think this is it's clever and fun to take these little Marioisms and make them more adult. Um and I think it's good, much like I said about the Gen Z thing. It's like these are good stakes to like put these stupid characters from like this video game where like they throw turtle shells at each other and put them like on trial for murder. I think that's really fun. It heightened really well. So we started out with his wiki page, and then we go to like the funny sound effects. We get those. We get jokes about Mario maybe having a drug addiction. Then the Toad jury is hilarious, and then we get finally that like penis image, which is so funny.
Oh,
Um,
that's what that was.
Yep, sorry, the algorithm, is maybe mad at us now, but, yeah, I thought this was really, really good, and I really loved it until the end where I don't know why we had to take the Cuomo turn. I thought that made it sort of fizzle to an end when I think we could have had, "Oh, no, he has a red shell," and he throws it, and then, like, cut to the courthouse exploding or, something like that. I think that was a good out of him having the red shell ready to throw was fun, and then they just tacked on this Cuomo thing for, in my opinion, no reason.
I think
Um
John saw it coming,
Oh,
judging
yeah?
by his live tweeting.
Uh, I thought that maybe they were trying to create some sort of an analogy
Mm,
between Mario and some social situation. I didn't peg Cuomo. I didn't think that was where they were going to go with it. But I don't think they did either. I think they realized they had a really really fun sketch and some great costumes and no ending. I think that's
mhm,
how we got to where we got. Because again, like it is interesting as you're watching the sketch, you begin to realize on second viewing that, oh yeah, they're hitting the Italian stereotypes pretty hard. And if it was purely a matter of let's put Mario characters on trial, they'd be leaning more into the lore of the Mushroom Kingdom. Like they'd be doing more
mhm,
Mario things than just Italian things.
mhm,
So at a certain point, I guess they realized that was the angle they wanted to go with it. But I think if that's what you're going to do, you need to have something a little smarter to end it on. So my criticism is the same as yours, Catherine. A lot of fun. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. And then, okay, what are you trying to say here at the end?
right,
Like it didn't make the point, or it didn't feel smart when they left it because it felt a little tacked on there at the end.
mhm. And then we got Pete's weird pencil
Yeah,
stash
his
making
his
his
pube
Cuomo
stash.
weird now.
Yeah.
His Cuomo that I have previously enjoyed. I was like, "What's going on with his face?"
Hmm.
Um, so
Not my
yeah.
Cuomo.
All right. Well, a qualified win on that one. Let's go on into Chad saves the world, farts in his spacesuit, but calls a safety. And I think we all expected a Mars colony sketch. I don't know that Chad was my read on it, but John, was it a win for you?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think a Chad can be a loss at this point because I think they know exactly how to use Chad, and it's going to be a long time before they run out of genres to drop Chad in
Mhm.
because Chad just does what Chad does, and it's always a funny contrast to whatever world he's living in for that week. So they can put him in a horror movie. They can put him in, a Halloween supernatural thing. They can put him in, romantic dramas. It doesn't matter. Chad transcends all genre. I mean, he can even go to Narnia and they can make that work. So, this was, I think, a perfectly good use of Chad because what the gift that Chad gives is that if you have a host that has some like very specific cultural touchstones that you want to work into the show, and you have Chad that can basically touch any touchstone, there you go. Chad meets Elon Musk. Done. Write it up. He goes to Mars. Beautiful. And then the jokes just find themselves at that point.
I both love Chad, but am sick of Chad.
Okay.
Um, so like I thought this one had great places to take it. I thought they found fun specifics. So like I don't think we've never seen Chad rip his spacesuit off before and get naked real quick. So that was a fun new thing.
Not spacesuit
Right.
specifically. Yeah.
But I like how heightened it is because a spacesuit has like 20 layers, but he's like, "Yep," and then he's like, "Nope." That's fun. He of course the number on the thing is gonna say boobs. So they found good
Boobs.
things, very Chad specific things to do here. Um, but I don't know. I was just sort of like we've seen Chad die, I think 3 times now.
Yeah.
So there's that
It's
aspect of it.
canon. It's canon. Chad, there's no continuity between Chad sketches.
Mhm.
We
It's the
understand that at this
Chad
point.
Yeah.
multiverse, and he is a
Yeah.
nexus.
But
Oh
if we
God.
take my feelings out of all of the other Chads, there's nothing to dislike here. It's really well written. It's very cinematic.
Mhm.
I'm not sure who directed this one, but it looked very good. Um, and yeah, it had those tropes. It was very Chad. I thought it heightened really well. Classic sketch trope heightening of he has to die. Really good stuff. But in the context of watching SNL, Chad's starting to wear on me a little bit.
Oh,
Steve, how do you feel?
it was a fun Chad. It kind of borrowed from The Martian for its visuals. Had
Mhm.
that kind of reddish hue to it. So definitely helped set the context. Okay, we're doing a Mars story. Uh, Makes sense with Elon, like we said. I enjoyed this because it was a little bit of new territory and not new territory for Chad because it's almost a combination of the different setups they've come up with for Chad. Because we have the early Chads where it was just like him and a usually a female host who who had a love affair with Chad, and they're working through their feelings. They did a couple that hit those beats. And then they started to put them in different genres like the fantasy genre, the horror genre. This one has both elements where he's put into, this science fiction uh, uh, drama setting, but also has the love affair subplot this time with Miley's character. So they took recognizable elements from Chad sketches and put them together. They never necessarily were in the same sketch together. They usually went one way or another. So this is kind of a new way of putting together a Chad sketch, you could say.
So another sketch where we run the gamut a little bit. Let's get into our 10 to 1. Leron tries to modernize the Old West with tunnels, new currencies, and self-driving horses, which are just normal horses. This one was interesting. John, how'd you feel about it?
Uh Mixed feelings. Uh at this point in the show, as this is coming on and they say, oh, his name is Leon instead of Elon, right? That's what it was. It was
I
Leon.
thought it was Leron, but hard to tell.
Leron, what? Yeah. So, but it became obvious very early into the sketch that, oh, okay. So they sat around and said, okay, if Elon Musk is considered eccentric in the 21st century, what would he look like in the 19th century? And then, they go from there. So I was feeling like, wait a minute, are the writers so in their box of we need to figure out how to comment on Elon Musk rather than let Elon Musk play a character that we're at the 10-1 and we're still squarely in Elon being Elon mode. That was the one thing that hit me. Oh, they just couldn't figure out anything else for Elon. And I understand it. It's a very unique situation to have a host like Elon. And I can't fault anyone for just not figuring out how to do something better with him than Elon or Wario. But I was just hoping that the 10-1 was going to be where they say, okay, you know what? We've got Elon Musk here. What is the absolute most absurd, ridiculous thing we can figure out how to do with this guy? And let's produce something that is just so unexpected. And that's what I wanted for a 10-1. It's not what we got, but what we got, it had its moments. I like the idea that he compliments the prostitute on the fact that she likely has syphilis, meaning that she's great at her job. Like mathematically, that's squares. and I think that's a funny compliment. And the fact that she took it as such, I thought was really, really nice. But otherwise, this just felt really obvious.
Yeah, I mean, it's clever in a way, to map the craziest things Elon has said into this Old West setting. And I think I could have had fun with that if it heightened more. But it was just, he says a thing, haha, that's a thing Elon said. He says a new thing, oh, haha, that's another thing Elon said. Like wasn't a lot of layering going on with this. I think the breakout moments all came from Beck for me. So like Beck explaining how money works is really funny.
Yes.
Because money is stupid.
It's a perfect system.
Beck getting slapped because he's not eccentric. That's fun. So I mean, I think the cast was giving it their all to try to bring this up, but I just don't know that if they had enough to say with this to really send it over for me. So yeah, this one fell flat, in my opinion. Steve, what did you think?
Yeah, it's all been said. We're just getting a what if, just asking a basic question, exploring that. What if we put Elon in the Wild West? And yeah, something that's known for not being overly progressive, just like kind of stuck in its time. Clearly, Elon's not going to thrive there. It's a good idea. They found fun equivalents for his whole boring and crypto stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was mostly Beck's lines, just like Catherine said, that I found enjoyable. The rock out of the ground for green paper. Really, it's a great counter argument to anybody who says crypto is silly. It's like, think about how silly your stuff is.
all money is made up.
Your green paper that represents a rock. Okay.
It doesn't even represent a rock anymore.
Yeah.
It's just made up.
Yeah. But it was overall like it was a pretty awkward sketch. It was silly, like symmetrical blocking, and I don't know how comfortable Cecily looked putting the moves on Elon for that part of it. I don't think that was her favorite thing to do. She's a pro, obviously, but you want something weird and from left field for a 10-1 sketch, and this was playing it pretty safe for such a late edition. Oh well.
Yeah, I think the best thing we can say about this is something we've touched on a couple times is surprised that Elon was so game to make fun of himself, and that won him some points in my book, and I think it's nice to see that because I did not expect it. So what this sketch had going for it was just that he knows he's weird. He knows he says stupid things, and he's willing to laugh at it.
Yep. That's true.
All right. Well, that is the end of the rundown. Let's talk about the big ratings. Up first, moment of the night. Steve, what is it?
My moments of the night would have to be in Murder Dirter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Beck moment where he kind of drops to his knees and screams, "My dirter and a dirter were murdered." Now that's not the moment. The moment would be when he gets a hoagie and a some kind of beer.
Some type of Pennsylvania beer, I guess.
You'd have to be from there, I guess. But the way that he just drops the upset act, I was like, "Oh, thanks, Jan," or whatever her name is. Was yeah, that was great.
Very good. Mine is gonna be Ego coming out as Disneyland mom, because that just on a personal level was exciting, because I was like, I've seen it before. And it's just so weird that I was thinking earlier this week about it and wishing that I could see it, and there it was, and I was so thrilled and so excited for it to make the show, and it was a really, really good feel good moment for me. John, what's your moment of the night?
Cecily Strong in the Wario sketch strikes her gavel on a coin box, and you get blink, blink, blink. And you can see her just smirk a little bit because she knows how joyous that goofy little gag is. I was enjoying that sketch already because we've all played Mario. You know, we all know exactly what we're looking at, and they're finding lots of funny little things to hit on. But that was the
Literally.
one that I wasn't expecting it, and it was just such a perfect use of that sound.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's move on to best sketch. Steve?
Pew pew pew. It's got to be the Mario sketch for sure. Pew pew pew. We just, those sounds and all those all those little digitalized beeps and boops that we grew up with. Yeah, I was really taken back to just my red face trying to get through World 8 and Mario Brothers. And this was it was probably the funniest sketch too, but it also had the nostalgia factor to make it my favorite.
Yep.
I may have some people agreeing with me. I have a feeling.
I was going to give it to that one, but now that you've
See?
said, I am not giving it to that one though. I wanted to, but that ending just really, really took it away from me. So while I do think it was the most creative sketch of the night, and I appreciated that about it, I have to give it to a more unqualified win in the post quarantine convo sketch. I thought, while that one I don't think is really even a standout of like the season, I thought it was really good. It did exactly what I wanted it to, and I had a lot of fun with it. I would love to give it to something maybe a little bit more creative, like the Wario sketch, but like I said, like that ending just wasn't it for me. So, um, I don't say that to say I'm giving best sketch to something I didn't like, because I did really like the post quarantine convo.
Because that's how this all works, right?
But yeah, I mean, that said, nothing was like a fully super unqualified win for me. So, but that one was really good and I liked it. John?
Yeah, I agree. Wario was fun, but it didn't have a strong point of view there. Like it by the time you got to the end, I was scratching my head as to why Cuomo was even a factor here, what they were trying to say with it. So just because I I felt it went, off track there. I can't it's not in the running for me either. But Ego as a put upon mom at Disney World is everything that I wanted from this show. It's it's a fun character that she earned, as you pointed out, she really had to lobby for this character and just keep putting it forward and fine tuning it and waiting for the right show for it to cut through. And it was just a great showcase of her performance abilities at their best. and I just really, really enjoyed seeing it, and I just really liked the character, and I thought if there is an unqualified win in anything tonight, that's it right there.
Yeah, I'm a moron. That was obviously my favorite sketch.
well, you can have a mulligan on that.
What am I sitting here talking about? Like I somehow completely overlooked it. Yeah.
It's your show. You paste this all back together however you want.
I'll allow myself to call myself a moron in the final edit. So yeah, do over.
That's how you know you meet it.
Best sketch from Catherine is of course Disneyland Mom. Yeah.
Very
Thank you
good.
for pointing that out, John.
No worries.
All right. Up next is MVP. Steve, who is it? Aside from the cat.
She's my MVP every day. I was going to give it to Beck's mom's arms, but I think Twitter has done enough damage to us.
Wait, what's noteworthy about Beck's mom's arms?
She's in great shape for her
Oh,
age.
I didn't notice.
Go look at those stunning biceps. I'm
I'll go look.
surprised you have to ask me what I mean when I say Beck's mom's arms.
I didn't look closely enough, I guess. My bad, Beck's mom.
Like it was like David Harbour all over again. Just but anyway, we are giving a proper MVP to Chloe because she had some great stuff. I really liked her version of the murder dirter accent, and she got to be the one to bring in the wooter pronunciation, and obviously we had some reservations about the Icelandic sketch, but I don't think we faulted her performance. Just like the whole concept from scratch was maybe not the right fit, but yeah, I think that goes to show that we want to see that character in another context. That Chloe was doing a great job, and yeah, I just thought she had a great presence in the show. So,
yeah,
can you dig?
I'm torn. No one fully stood out. Like I don't feel like there was a whole lot of scene stealing happening. I thought about Heidi. Maybe Heidi was in a lot of stuff. I thought she was really good in the Gen Z sketch. Almost had like Timothy Chalamet style mannerisms going on. Kate was all over the place doing a lot of really great stuff. But I think it has to go to Ego. Ego had that knockout weekend update feature that she owned. She's worked hard for. It was fantastic. And even though she wasn't in a ton of other stuff, I think that stellar performance is enough to give her the MVP. John, who is it for you?
Agreed. She made the play. You can either be ever present or you can have the moment. And I think Ego, she definitely scored big with that piece. Yeah, this is super easy. She's the only one that would even be in the running for me tonight.
Fair enough.
Well, I feel silly.
Big ups to Ego. All right. Here we go. The last one. On a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck, Steve and the Cat, how would you rate this episode?
We are going to give it a decent. Fully prepared to give a train wreck out to a unproven, non-acting, non-performing host, who is known to be a little bit out of touch on a good day. Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Would have been satisfied to get a week episode out of this. And yeah, for whatever awkwardness that Elon brought to the show, I felt he had that Charles Barkley charm in his bad acting. Yeah, so not a classic, but hell, to sit here and give the Elon Musk episode a decent is surprising in itself.
Yeah, I came into this fully expecting the worst, and I was like, oh, am I going to have to go down to like weaker train wreck? I hope not. But they pulled it off. the combination of Elon not being a performer, plus, some of the drama leading into it where it seemed like people were not game to have him there and worrying a little bit about, was anybody really gonna be giving this their best? Um, I wasn't expecting much, but we got a couple really good things, a lot of middle of the road stuff, a few things that I would be fine to not look at again. Um, and I think that adds up to decent. We had um, great musical guests, solid update, and the sketch fair was fine. So it is what it is. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm happy to give this a decent because I was braced for it to be real unwatchable.
real unwatchable.
John, where you landed?
For me, ultimately this was going to come down to whether I embraced Elon Musk as the host and could feel any kind of joy going down this ride that is SNL with him. And the fact that he won me over in the monologue, I think was the make or break moment that pulled this out of weak territory. Because I think if you step back and look at the show as a whole, the one thing that it screams to me is the writers or the show at large. I don't think they got as creative with Musk as they could have. I think there was a lot of obvious safe things that they veered towards just because they didn't want to test those waters and come up short and realize he couldn't carry it or whatever. So I feel that there was apprehension or just that thing of, I'm not enthusiastic about this show. And as much as maybe you just try to be at your best, your heart's not in it. And so I feel like there was a lot of stuff that didn't really capitalize on the opportunity here as well as it should have. And that to me is what could have pulled this down into weak territory. But the fact that I was enjoying watching Musk in all of his super awkward, way, I enjoyed projecting onto him, thinking of myself, maybe someone who, if I ever had an opportunity to do a show as big as SNL, I'm not naive to the fact that I wouldn't be bringing a lot of performance ability or game to it. And to watch him just find the joy in knowing I'm not a comedian, but I'm just going to do this, damn it. Like I'm just going to throw myself into it. I feel like if there was a way for the show to know that that was the attitude he was coming with, maybe the writers would have dug a little deeper and this could have gotten into better territory. But I do think it gets over the line into decent.
All right. So across the board, decent. Yeah, we all said decent.
Yeah.
All right.
They pulled it off.
They pulled it off. No one expected it. Literally no one. Not a single person in the world. But yeah, pleasantly surprised. Happy to see that it wasn't the worst episode I've ever seen.
High praise.
And that's that. I'm glad we were all pleasantly surprised and we had fun with this. And I think we've got 2 very, very good episodes coming up. And I can't wait to be back next week. But for now, that's a wrap. Thanks to Steve Finn and John Murray. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Sam Bowers, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow, and your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back in 1 week when SNL returns with host Keegan-Michael Key and musical guest Olivia Rodrigo. But until then, this has been episode number 136 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.